Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening. So, I want to talk to you guys about what is a nonprofit, what is a 501c3 organization, and just give you some very definitive information, but also information that won't go over your heads either. Okay. So let's see. Where do I start? Where do I begin? Where do I begin? Let's see. Hold on just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. I'm kind of learning some new things here. So yeah, just a moment. A moment. Good evening. Good afternoon. I hope everyone had a great day at work, or a great day at doing whatever it is that you decided that you wanted to do. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Menasha West, and I am the founder and owner of WestCornerstone Consultancy. WestCornerstone Consultancy is my baby. I've been developing this organization, or my company rather, good evening, since 2016. And I decided on 2019 that I was confident enough, good evening, Mr. Thurston, that I was confident enough to launch it. So here I am. Just to give you a little backdrop and a background of what I do here, just me on my lonesome dove here at WestCornerstone Consultancy, is I help individuals who have a vision, who want to develop themselves as far as becoming an entrepreneur, but on the spectrum of nonprofit organization, 501c3, or whatever number that will be the suffix, because there are over 29 classifications for a 501c. So this is what I do. As well, I am a grant writer. So if anyone needs grant writing components, if anyone finds themselves wanting to have even just the basic things, like if you're looking for a job and you need a resume that is hefty enough in an effort to get you that job that you're wanting, I'm your girl. I have the ability to sit down with you and just give you the real deal. Excuse me. To give you the real deal as far as if you decided that you wanted to go do mock interviews. You don't have to feel embarrassed around me, and I'll give you some tools and things of that nature. So for me, it's more so about business development. It's also about personal development. Some people are not, and I don't want to say the word fit. I was thinking of saying it, but I'm not going to say it. Some people don't have the aptitude to want to become an entrepreneur. It is a lot of responsibility. It's God is my witness. There are some days where I sit around and I'm like, oh my God, I've been kind of slacking. My idea of slacking, just so we all are aware of what slacking is, it's sleeping all day for me. So, or I may get up in the middle of the night and start doing work. People have gotten text messages from me and they're like, why are you texting me at this time? And I'm like, you don't be up at this time working? So that's kind of how it works for an entrepreneur. Your hours vary. I've literally had to reprogram myself and discipline myself in a way that says, okay, girl, or woman rather, you need to get up and you need to go do some work. You need to go do some research. You need to go read. You need to go and start speaking to your clients. But when it's time to actually write a grant or do a 501c3 application for a client, that's done. I'm up. I'm drinking coffee, and I'm here in Miami. So the coffee that I drink is Cafe Bustelo, and I'm drinking Cafe Bustelo until I can't drink it no more. And I'm like, I'm on it until I am literally like, I'm done. So I said all of that to say, you have to, yeah, man, listen, on high stress days, I'm gonna tell you what I do. I go take a nap. I'll be like, yo, I gotta go take a nap. I'll be like, and then don't get it to the point where like you have things in your household that you have to take care of, like chores or taking care of the children or making sure that their needs are cared for. You can literally be derailed. I'm telling you, that's how sometimes I end up sitting up until 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like there have been moments where I've literally shut my eyes at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'll be like, okay, so now what am I going to do when the sun comes up, when the kids wake up? It's summertime. A lot of people are like, oh my God, I wish that my kids were in school. But this is kind of good for me because my kids don't have to go to school. They're here with me. But when I had to get up in the morning time with them, I couldn't have those kind of like weird hours of where I'm just kind of like up all night. Because if I close my eyes at 4 o'clock, everybody gonna be late to where they gotta go. Somebody getting to school at 8:30 and the bell's supposed to ring at 7:45. The other one getting to school at 10 and Abuelita looking at me like, so yeah, you just take a nice little cat nap. You know what I'm saying? Like make it so where your environment is conducive to you being able to have that duality of rest and work, rest and work. I've been reading like articles on how other countries, like if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Sweden, where they literally allow individuals to take naps. So like if I need to take a nap while I'm like needing to rest, it's weird for me because I just be like, I'm literally finna leave from my table, my dining room table, because that's my desk for right now. My dining room table is my desk. Or sometimes I even gone to Capital One Cafe in Brickell where I live. I can literally rent and I don't have to pay for the room because I have a nonprofit organization. So I've literally gotten workspaces where I can like, if I leave from my home, I'm not as apt to be like, I think I need to go take me a nice little nap. So those are some keys, that I just wanted to like throw out there before I get into my presentation about being an entrepreneur and disciplining yourself and knowing that, no, you don't have somebody watching over you, but kind of do. You do. You have to lord over yourself. And it takes a whole lot of degree of maturity. It takes a lot of degree of accountability. And also, I mean, for me on a religious scale, when I read the word of God, it says I'm supposed to work as though I'm working for the Lord. So that's my boss. If I sleep, I'm saying to myself, I know God ain't finna send me no blessings or send me any kind of contact that would allow me to, capitalize off of the knowledge that he's blessed me with. So I have to keep that in mind too. And I have to keep in mind, like, if there are things or places that I can go in order to facilitate me. One place I won't go, and I'm going to tell y'all, I don't do Dunkin' Donuts. I don't care what they offering. They could offer me every single bit of coffee. It's something about each vibe. I've been to Dunkin' Donuts and other places. I ain't sitting in Dunkin' Donuts to do no work. Might go to Starbucks, but I get distracted at Starbucks too. Like, I love the fact that there are literal workspaces that you can go to, and there is a really high level of synergy in these places. The one in Brickell is on fire. I'm talking about, I've sat in that place and I'm like this. And ideas are like coming in like, bum, bum, bum. And people are calling me and I'm like, get you somewhere that literally invokes the level of energy that you need in order to make your business grow. That's the one thing that I can say. Like, you need it. You need to pull from people. I've sat in front of like doctors who are studying I'm talking about a real live MD student, someone who is in their residency. And I'm sitting next to an investment banker. I'm sitting next to a real estate tycoon. I'm sitting next to somebody, like, you can feel that energy. I'm telling y'all, do not go to no McDonald's. Don't go and sit in no Starbucks, because they ain't really working heavy like that in Starbucks. That's a more like laid back vibe. You need to get somewhere that people are on that same level. I'm not talking about the same conversation, because no, the person that's sitting next to me that's studying for their doctoral degree to be a MD or DO, no, we're not conversing on the same level. But the energy and the drive and the discipline that is needed in order for both of us to move forward, it's the same. It translates the same. You will understand. Another place that's a good workspace is called WeWork. WeWork is also good also, but like I said, location. The location of where you're going to be at, as far as what you're doing with your organization, it needs to flourish properly. It needs to be watered. You don't always have to like be sitting there networking with everybody and telling everybody your dream and what you want to do. All you need is just that energy and that connection of being in the building. I'm in the building and I'm doing my work and you doing your work. It's just like a big old classroom, but we're actually adults working. So I would admonish people that are like on that entrepreneur level, find you a good workspace so that you won't be tempted to go into your bedroom like me sometimes and go take a nap, or tempted to go fix you like a really elaborate breakfast in the kitchen like me. Or I can just think of so many other things that I get myself into just being in the house, and I fall back on the work that I need to do. And, you know, I don't suffer, but it just, I say to myself, dang, like if I would have like not did this, I probably could have gotten this done in a quicker fashion. But anyways, so here we are this evening discussing 501c3 and what is a 501c3, and what does it mean for you? No problem. Okay, so a 501c3 is an organization, corporation, trust, unincorporated association, or other type of organization that is exempt from federal income tax under Section 501c3 of the Title 63 of the United States Code. It's one of the 29 types. So just like I mentioned before in the earlier part of the live, there are 29 types of 501c. The three is a number that indicates what kind of organization you have and what kind of organization you have, period. That's just what it is. All right. So a 501c is a nonprofit organization that is based within the United States of America. Also a 501c3 tax exempts apply to entities that are organized and operated exclusively for these purposes. You have your religious purposes, your charitable purposes, any kind of scientific purpose, any type of scientific purpose, literary purposes, educational, testing, public safety, also to foster international amateur sports. I didn't know that. And when I read that, I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. So that's one. Also, it goes forward in the prevention from cruelty to children, women, and animals, and as well as kids. So, you know, if you find yourself having a heart for the children or women or things of that nature, that will be your niche. If you're saying to yourself while I'm discussing this right now, hey, I've always wanted to help children in need, or I've always wanted to help people in need, but I don't know how to get started. How much money do I have to put towards this? Do I have to put money towards this? Can I get a grant? If I decide that I want to start this organization, do I have to pay taxes? Do I have to pay anything as far as with the federal government? And I'm going to answer that question. So the 501c3 exemption, it also applies to non-incorporated community chest fundraising organizations. And I think that That is something that we've gotten away from as a whole. I have not seen too many on the scale of African American communities anymore. When I was a young girl, I remember going on like places like 62nd in Miami, and you can see like all of these different organizations that were popping up, and all of these schools that were popping up and things of that nature. Well, fast forward to 2019, my knowledge tells me that 9 times out of 10, those organizations formed what is called a non-incorporated community chest under the 501c3 exemption. And what they did was they would collect money from local businesses and workers, and then they would distribute it to the community. So they would go to, say, places like, let's just say like local communities. They would just, put up these posters, or they would go and knock on the door and say, hey, we're collecting for such and such cause, and that such and such cause would benefit the community at large. So you've collected a vast amount of money by way of fundraising, and you've given it back into the community. I noticed that a lot of individuals have been complaining and saying that the community doesn't do enough of this. Well, hey, listen, you've got the knowledge now. 501c3 is where you want to start at. That's your cornerstone. And upon you building off of that cornerstone, you'll know, okay, now I have the ability to market this what would you call it? A cause. I have the ability to market this cause in a way that is profitable for not only myself in an altruistic form, but also for the community at large, for whatever things that they need. A lot of people have gone as far as saying, the church isn't doing enough. Well, hey, maybe the church isn't doing enough. That very well may be true. But on another level, you don't have to have a religious organization in order to go into your community, to pool funds, and to also make it so where people have the ability to give to a cause, and that those monies are distributed. You can have a wraparound organization that helps with social initiatives, and it has nothing to do with the religious spectrum. It does not even involve a religious output. This is for individuals who want to literally separate themselves from that aspect. You do have the ability to structure yourself, to structure your organization in that manner as a community chest fundraising organization. You can do that, okay? And I can help you. So that's one thing. Fund incorporating organizations, also known as interpretive organizations or natural history associations, support interpretive, educational, and scientific programs. So you have like an example for those would be like your national parks and services. Those are nonprofit organizations. They would say like when you walk into these parks, donors have given money. These are the donors who have given to this cause and things of that nature. You would see like placards on the wall, and honorariums and things of that, things of that nature. The USDA Forest Service, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Bureau of Land Management, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the State Parks Department, PBS is one, and also National Geographic is another one. These are entities that have been created in an effort to educate or help individuals to interpret things on like an anthropologist. These are people who are going into communities that people will probably never go into in an effort to bring awareness, education, preservation of certain historical places, events, times, and things of that nature. So if you're interested in forming a 501c3 and you have a dream or a vision of saying, hey, I want to educate people on then said subject, I'm here, I'm at your service. You can do that. Your vision is fine, but as far as on the back end of making room for your articles of incorporation and your tax exempt status, that is what's most important. Not to say that your dream isn't, but you want to make sure that all of your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, so that when you do go out and you start to solicit funds and you start to get into the spectrum of fundraising, that you won't hit any snags. All right. There are also things, foundations and organizations that operate exclusively for the purposes of friends of organizations. So you would have organizations that are, like, say for instance, the VFW auxiliary, and it would go just like this. It would say the VFW auxiliary, friends of the veterans of foreign war, and then it would say number 89 or number whatever that you're affiliated with, then said group. A tax exempt status puts you at a very great advantage for a lot of things. The deeper that I've gandered into what is a 501c3 and how can people apply this to their lives, apply this to their legacy building. I've noticed that if you even get property and you have a 501c3 and it's legal and you have a lot of characteristics that are already going on as far as fundraising, and you're able to leverage yourself, you can buy property and you won't pay any taxes on that property. So that means that you have created not one but two forms of wealth building components outside of the classic way of entrepreneurship by going straight through with a business. A business foundation is good, but as well, social initiatives do pay, and you can also build wealth for yourself and for others in conjunction, or in tandem rather. So while you're building wealth for yourself, you with your nonprofit organization has the fortitude to help someone else build wealth. So it's just not in vain, or you're not being nefarious and saying, hey, well, I'm just becoming tax exempt so that I can go and, do things under the radar. You can't do anything under the radar concerning a nonprofit organization, because there is an expectation of that comes by way of the IRS. And there's accountability by way of what is known as a 990 form. So every single time you come into your fiscal year, or the new tax year rather. So for instance, one client that I was dealing with, I noticed that their tax year is every June. So June of this year would make their new tax year. So what they would have to do is they'd have to report all of their earnings, but you really don't make earnings, so you wouldn't call it earnings. You would report all of your contributions to the IRS by way of a 990 form, NEZ, or whatever those specifications lie for that particular organization. If you fail to do that, then your organization is then penalized by way of having the exemption not recognized. So you lose recognition of tax exemption with the IRS when you fail to be accountable for those donations that have come in. And what would happen is, one, you would have to fill out a more a detailed form explaining your organization and pretty much petitioning to have your tax exempt status given back to you. And that will be done by way of what is called a Form 1024. There's no easy, like they want to know, do you really want your organization back again? So you're going to be sitting there filling that out via PDF or by hand with a pencil, writing things in, and that is a monster. That is a monstrous form. Like that form is as complex as somebody sitting there with a pen doing their own taxes. That's how tedious that form is. And then not to mention, now you have to send in $600, whereas your initial filing is a fraction of that. Like you're in the low 200s for your initial filing, and then because you fail to account your donations and fail to account your contributions and all of your other financial givings for your organization, you find yourself having to pay out of pocket in upwards to $600 just to turn in a form. So it's really, really, really serious. But it's also like, you know, a way that it keeps things in order. It allows people to, you know, stay on their P's and Q's with regards to the cause that you have said, you know, you're representing. If you say that you care about the mothers and the children, well, then you need to be held accountable every single time your tax year comes along. A lot of people find that they can't do that. So they hire people like myself. And they hire me in an effort to maintain those 990s and make sure that they are on point, to make sure that their financial information is accurate and that there are no snags in it. It will be me to call the IRS and speak with, you know, the IRS personnel in a tax exempt department to inform then said person of where they stand at as far as their tax exempt status. It's just a matter of being accountable. It's more than just filling out a 1023 easy or, you know, rectifying an issue of non-compliance by way of a 1024 form and then filling out a form 8717 and then sitting in the $600. It's just accountability. You know, and that's what I do here at my company, WestCornerstone Consultancy Incorporated. I am here at your service in an effort to provide you with the accountability that you need so that you can focus on your outside endeavors and, you know, also to educate you on any kind of findings that I may, you know, observe upon doing my own due diligence to make sure that I'm up to par in the information that I have, and also to make sure that everything runs smoothly for you. If anybody has any questions or anything concerning, you know, 501c3 and what they can do, what they can't do, how can it be used on a more in-depth scale, please feel free to email me at WestCornerstoneConsultancy@gmail.com. You can inbox me and I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And if you want to do business, I'm even more happier to assist you as well, you know, on the inverse. So if I haven't answered your questions, like I said, please shoot me an inbox and I'll be more than happy and more than willing to, you know, acquiesce you. And that's all I have. I just wanted to stop by, just give everybody some encouragement and just let them know I, Menasha West, am here. And as well, I am ready and able to help you to reach your goals as far as your nonprofit, grant writing, and also business development needs. Thank you so very much for giving me your time, and I really appreciate you guys. And I look forward to serving you, and also welcome Visionaries. Good night.